Hello everybody. It's 1st of February, just started. It's a Friday, and I'm going to talk about photography, so I guess this could be a Phot Friday video. I haven't had one of those in a long time. I was prompted to talk about this while watching a video by Joe Edelman. He's an American photographer, and he recently did a video talking about the new Olympus camera, the EM1 DX, which is a new professional camera. Will be on the shelves anytime the next month or so, and it's a top shelf camera. It's very expensive. When he talked about it, he said he liked it. He's been testing it for a while, and in this video, he spent the first 10 minutes, getting really angry, complaining about all the negative comments that people made in the video when he was talking about his camera. It wasn't a review of the camera. He was just talking about it. And he was annoyed and a bit upset at all the negatives and untrue comments being made by people about the camera. People who've never actually touched the camera, people who probably never will touch the camera, let alone consider buying it. I was reminded of this. I was reminded of the fact that a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now, I was reading the comments on a internet photography site, also called Digital Camera Review. Digital Review. This website here, and I remember seeing went down to the bottom to read the viewer comments, and because there's a list of comments, and you got to log in and then you can make a comment. And I was, because this was like the first time I was actually reading reviews on a photographer website, and I was also surprised, and I was surprised then at how many negative comments there were about whatever product they were talking about, be it a camera, a lens, or camera lens combination, whatever. And it didn't matter what type of camera it was, whether it was a digital compact camera, whether it was a compact camera or professional camera, interchangeable lens camera like I'm using now, etc. There was, or who made it, whether it was Canon, Nikon, Olympus, Panasonic, Sony, Minolta was still about in those days, were there? So, anyway, didn't matter what camera it was, who made it. The negative comments were always greater than the positive or even just mediocre comments, and that's when I really stopped reading this kind of comments on things, because it really doesn't matter. Because I learned that people who make the negative comments are not the people that these cameras are aimed at, and or any product is aimed at, to be honest, really. The camera Joe Edelman was talking about is a Micro Four Thirds camera, so it's got a smaller sensor, smaller than the sensor in the full frame cameras. Basically, the angle of view is half that it is on the full frame camera. So if you put a 50mm lens on a full frame camera, you get a certain angle of view. If you put a 50mm lens on a Micro Four Thirds camera, you get half the angle of view. So basically, it's like using a 100mm lens instead of a 50mm lens, double the apparent focal length. And there's lots of things that are slightly different between the two. But I can tell you one thing that I've learned. I've been doing photography for quite a while now. It doesn't really matter the camera that you're using, whether it's a full frame camera, an APS-C crop frame, DSLR, Micro Four Thirds sensor camera, compact camera, anything, your phone. If you take a good photograph, people are going to see that photograph and say, "Oh, I like the photograph." They're not going to say, "What camera did you use to take that?" or whatever. And if you take a bad photograph, nobody's going to see it because you're not going to show it to anybody, are you? Also, if you have a look on Flickr, which I've got a Flickr site, have a look. If you just go through them, just looking at very nice the photographs that you like best, I can guarantee that out of every 10 photographs you look at, they'll be taken by about 5 or 6 different camera models, and most of them will be taken with either a compact camera or a crop sensor DSLR type sensor. the photograph you take is what matters. How good the picture is, it depends on how well you know how to take a photograph. Another thing that I've learned about cameras, particularly interchangeable lens cameras, such as the one I'm using now, the ones I like to use, that if it was made any time in the last 15 or 20 years, the photographs you're going to get out of it are going to be good enough that you won't be able to tell which camera took them, whether it was a really old camera or a new camera. Example, I've got my first digital SLR camera was a Canon EOS 10D. I've got one. I've still got it here actually. Hold on. So here it is, the Canon EOS 10D, 6 megapixel APS-C size sensor, crop factor of 1.6. So the 1.6 means that you multiply the focal length of any lens you put on it by 1.6 to get the equivalent focal length / angle of view. So a 50mm lens on this will be what, 70, 80 millimeters, something like that. This is an old camera. This camera was old when I bought it in 2005. And it was a second hand then, so it was around. It had been around for at least 5 years. So this is, around the circa 2000 technology here. Now, if this was still working fine, which it's not, unfortunately, but if this was still working, you could take photographs with this, and they'd look every bit as good as photographs taken with the latest Canon camera, which I think the latest in the line of this is the Canon 80D. Take a photograph with them two side by side, print it out in AS10.8. I guarantee that you would be hard pressed to tell which camera took which. Certainly if the photographer was half decent anyway. Another thing that I was reminded of was that because Mr. Edelman was talking about the Olympus cameras, virtually every camera that I've used since I started taking photographs, or started taking photography seriously back in, was it 1989, 88, whatever, every camera I've used has been pretty good. Even the ones that were rated as being poor cameras, not very good cameras, putting the film with them and using them, just being able to use them as they were intended, they worked well. In fact, there's really only one camera that I can say was pretty bad, and I wish I'd never bought it. And and ironically enough, it's the Olympus OM30, an Olympus camera. Who'd have thought it? Because I was quite keen on Olympus cameras. I think my first SLR was a Zenit E, which is a big bulking Russian thing, which fairly reliable. Not what you call a good camera, but use it properly and you'll get good pictures out of it. It's a camera that you can use well and get decent pictures with it. Then I went to something else. I think I got a Chinon CE5, which was basically like a Pentax clone. Well, not Pentax clone, but Pentax lens mount. And that was a really nice camera. The kit was bigger. It had the body, standard lens, big flash gun on top of it, and a motor drive as well. So it was like a complete kit, and it was very nice. I like the camera. I used it a lot. And it wasn't until I discovered the Olympus OM1, or rather was able to afford an Olympus OM1, that I traded it in for the Olympus OM1. And I still have one now, actually. And then went to an OM1 to an OM2 spot program, which was at the time, and still for me now, the best film SLR camera I've ever used. It just worked perfectly. Everything about it was like, the camera was just talking to me. I knew what the camera was doing, and I was able to take excellent pictures out of it. I got a shed load of photographs I took with that camera. It was just like as close to perfect as a film camera could get, for me at least. Your mileage may vary. And then I got, I think before that I got an Olympus OM30, and that was quite literally the worst camera I'd ever used, because it was highly advanced technologically. It had autofocus, not quite. It had focus confirmation, should I put it. It had little arrows in the viewfinder below the view, at the bottom of the viewfinder, that pointed that way and a circle in the middle when the photograph was in focus, when the image was in focus rather. So you turn, so if this light was lit, if the arrow this side was lit pointing that way, you turn the lens that way until it was focusing. And it worked fine, it did what it's supposed to. The problem with that, for me, is that the screen that you're looking through, the view that you're looking through already has focus confirmation things on it. You've got a split screen prism and the micro prism as well, which were highly accurate, very accurate, which is why virtually every single SLR camera up to digital cameras had this sort of thing. You name a camera made from the early 60s up to when they stopped making film SLR cameras, they all had a split prism focusing aid because it was very accurate and easy to use. Because with that, you put the actual split prism on the subject that you're taking a picture of and just turn it until it's right, and then you take the picture. With the Olympus OM30 focus confirmation thing, you had to look away from your subject down to the bottom of the viewfinder to see the light come on, and then and so that basically just extended things. That was the least egregious part of the camera. There was lots of other things about the camera that were just awful. It used 5 batteries, 5 little button batteries, while all the other cameras, all its other contemporaries, including the Olympus cameras before and after it, used 2 batteries, and the battery didn't last long at all. In fact, the only camera that had worse battery life was, ironically, the OM2 Sport program. I remember I had to change batteries on a weekly basis with that thing. So it didn't stop me from using it. It just meant I carried spare batteries with me every time I took it out. So anyway, photography. People who complain about the gear are not the people who are going to get good photographs, whatever gear you put in their hands. And photographers who take photographs usually don't really care what gear they've got in their hands, or if they do, they don't brag about it at all. Some of you may have heard of Martin Parr. He was or still is actually, a photojournalist, documentary photographer, shall we say, and magazine photographer. And he got pretty big famous in the late 80s and early 90s with his photography. It was strange, quirky, interesting stuff. Photographs of people, basically, in the street, on the beach, wherever. He just liked taking pictures of people. And he took very good photographs of people. I mean, I've tried taking pictures like him, but, can guarantee you that of all the people who've taken photographs in the style of Martin Parr, only Martin Parr photographs look like Martin Parr photographs, so. And there was quite a few, at least 2 documentaries about him that I saw on the television around that time. And he was asked what kind of camera he uses, and he said, and his reply surprised me. He said, I'm not sure, it's a Nikon something or other, I think. he didn't really care what the camera used, I think. He cared more about the film he used, because he liked his colour photographs to be saturated, quite saturated. So he used film that allowed extra saturation. I think Fujifilm, which is actually the film I used as well. Not because he used it, but because I just liked it. Anyway, just as me talking about photography. Is there a message from this, conclusion from this? Anybody can take good photographs with any camera. Any decent photographer can take a good photograph with any camera, be it a £5,000 Canon EOS 1DX, which is a very nice camera, wouldn't mind owning one, or a £50 Digicompact somewhere, or a second-hand, or a second-hand film compact camera for £10 you bought in the charities or whatever. If you know what you're doing, you can get a good photograph with whatever camera you've got in your hands. And it's been proven by people on YouTube, actually, ironically enough. Digital Rev had a series of shows in which they basically took a pro photographer and put a stupid, cheap, crappy camera in their hands and say, right, let's take some good pictures. And the pro photographer would look at the camera and, as if somebody put shit in their hands, and then they'd go and take some excellent photographs. So you want to be a good photographer? Learn to take photographs. Don't worry about the gear on your hands. If you like taking photographs, let me know your thoughts on what I've said. Link to Joe Edelman in the bottom. He's a good guy. First time I've ever seen him angry, actually. You know, Angry Joe is angry. Great. Yeah. Anyway, take care, everybody. If you like this video, tell your friends. If you don't like it, tell me why. And take care, everybody.